Tune in to the Real Estate Roundup with the River Counties Association of Realtors. Join us every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. on the Mix 104.1 as we explore the latest in real estate. Whether you're buying, selling, or just love real estate, don't miss our expert advice and exclusive insights. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let's explore the dynamic world of real estate in our vibrant River Counties community. Catch Real Estate Roundup and make your property dreams a reality.
Good morning and welcome to the Real Estate Roundup, brought to you by River Counties Association of Realtors. I'm Lisa Calfee, your host today with the Source Real Estate Group, and I'm joined with our prestigious Michael Parent, who is the CEO of River Counties Association of Realtors. Yeah. So it's good to be here with you again.
You too, Lisa.
Today, we're going to talk a little bit about what does the association do and why is it important to the public, and just understanding a little bit more about what a Realtors Association does, because I think some people don't understand the purpose and
Sure.
why it's there.
Right.
And so we're going to talk about that today.
Okay. Yeah, and some might not even know that it's there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That little white house over there.
Right, on Candy's Lane.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. With sign out front with the
Right.
Realtors logo.
Yep.
So you drive by it often, probably on your way to the skating rink.
Right, exactly.
And wondering what it is and why it's there. So let's start a little bit with what the association means for the public. You know, without the association, we wouldn't have what we call our multiple listing service.
Right. Yep.
And that is what gives you all the homes to look for on all the websites.
Right. Yes.
So talk a little bit about what that provides for the public consumer.
Yeah, definitely. And so the multiple listing service provides all of the real estate companies in our area that belong to our association, which is predominantly all the real estate offices in Cleveland and Bradley County. And then we get out to the surrounding counties as well. So we cover quite a bit of territory. So when those agents from those real estate companies are listing a property, they need to put it somewhere. And so it goes into our multiple listing service, which then we can feed that to the third-party websites. So Realtor.com, Zillow, all the other ones, the brokers' websites that they have, for their own personal business. And it gives us a formal place for the control of good data. So when a realtor is looking for a house for their buyer, they don't have to scramble and try to find it in all these different places. You go to the MLS and it's accurate data. So on the websites that are out there, the hard part with that is sometimes the data that's out there doesn't get taken down and people think, oh, this listing's available. Well, it may not be. The multiple listing service is live. If you list a house today and you hit that enter button, it's going to be automatically in there. If you sell that house today and you put it under contract, it automatically updates. Where other websites might take 2 or 3 days to catch up with that because they have to get the feed from us, from the Internet Data Exchange, IDX feed, and then we feed that to them saying, hey, update your listings. Well, some do a great job at it and some don't. So then I've had clients call me and say, hey, what about this house? You didn't show it to me. Well, it's been sold for 3 months, and they're like, well, it's showing up on this website. So that's where the multiple listing service comes in to give our consumers more accurate data with their realtor to look for the houses that they're looking for.
So it provides that consistency across all of the listings that are being entered in there.
Right.
One of the things that it provides for the consumer is that, there's fields we have to fill in about the information about that property. And so if it was out there on multiple websites where everybody was just willy-nilly entering it in there, you might not have that consistency of seeing the square footage, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the size of the lot, the things that you as a consumer are important to you that you're looking for.
Yep.
It provides that consistent data, like you said, to go out to the public so that when you see that stuff and you see these listings all throughout the area, you can get the same information about each listing every time you're scrolling through.
Yeah, because, data alignment is the key, because a buyer says, okay, I want a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath on 5 acres. Well, if you don't have some of those fields in there, how are you going to find it, right?
That's
so
right.
The MLS data, we have a certain standard that we have to go by. It's called RESO, it's Real Estate Standards for all MLSs across the country, to make that data very, very compliant with each other. So we're trying, as an industry, we're trying to get that data better out there with all the other websites so that you can look at the other websites and have that same accurate data. But if they don't have the certain fields or certain things that, align with our MLS, you might miss something on there. So the realtor that you're working with, when they go to the MLS, they're going to get you what is currently available and what you are specifically looking for.
Absolutely.
So, and it also depends on your real estate agent that, your realtor that you're hiring to list your house, that they do put all that data in. Mm-hmm. So you want to work with your realtor to say, hey, make sure that you talk about my barn that I have on these 3 acres, and make sure that, I have a pond on this property, or all the specifics that somebody might be looking for. So good data in is good data out, right? Mm-hmm. So if you put, limited data in, well, you're going to miss out on some people searching for that property.
So that gives me the moment to ask you this question.
Sure.
And, I've had this experience several times myself where, why is it important that a consumer choose a real estate agent that is a member of the local real estate association? Because, if I choose to, for instance, if I choose to use someone or sell it on my own, right? Mm-hmm. I'm selling it for sale by owner.
Right.
I just missed out on all of the information about my home going out to these thousands of websites, right? I instantly missed that opportunity, which is how many buyers that you missed out on.
Sure.
But having that agent that's a member of that association, they're not just a member of the local association, they're a member of the state and also the national. So talk about why that's important. What standards make that agent stand out?
No, I'm glad you asked that, because I know the public doesn't understand all this, and I don't expect them to, because they're not in our business. I've been in it for 3 decades. You've been in it for a long time as well. We get it, right? And by having somebody that's going to list your house, you want to ask them, are you a realtor? Not just a real estate agent. And there's a difference in that, because you can get your license with the state and be a real estate agent. But a realtor, with the R that we have, the branded R, the big R that you see, and if you drive by our office on Candies Lane, you'll see the big R on our sign. That R is branded for the National Association of Realtors. And there are a strict code of ethics that you have to apply to your business on a daily basis. And real estate agents do not have to adhere to that. Mm-hmm. So we now have a different level of service that we have to provide because we're held to that higher standard. And it's really a critical question for people to ask when they're talking to somebody, because some people will say, oh yeah, I'm a realtor, but they're not. They're just a real estate agent. So you have to make sure you ask them, are you a member of the local association? Are you a member of, the National Association of Realtors? Ask those questions. Don't be afraid to ask that. It's no different than asking your doctor if they're board certified.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And my wife's in the medical field. She works with the medical associations, and people have to get certified all the time. So it's just like in our business. We're a realtor. We have code of ethics. We have certain classes we have to take, annually, every 2 years. We have different standards that the association has with the state that we have to take. So there's rules, there's requirements, there's regulations. That's what you want, because you want somebody that's going to do everything and be held accountable. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing. So if you're working with a realtor and they do something wrong, which it does happen, you have the right as a person of the public, or even a realtor to realtor, to file a complaint against that person. Mm-hmm. And we want that to be done. Not that we want them to do bad business,
right?
But we want them to be held to, hey, you can't do it this way. That's damaging the public. And so when we do, the code of ethics, and we have that higher level of standards, now you're going to have a great experience.
And that was created to protect the public to a certain extent.
Correct.
And having that National Association of Realtors membership means that they are, like you said, being held to those guidelines, those standards, those best practices, which are designed to protect the public.
Correct.
And so we want it. You can go take the class and do the standard number of hours that are required by the state that you're licensed in, and then you can have that license. And if you just stop there, all you're doing is abiding by the state regulations. But the state regulations are just laws and rules. Yep. You don't have that ethical standard on there until you join the National Association of Realtors. And it's, how do we treat our clients? How do we treat other agents? Yep. What do we do, when our clients, there's actually one in there that says that we are to lawfully obey our clients' wishes. Yeah. And so when you learn that as a member of the National Association of Realtors, you're committing to, if I represent you as a seller and you say, I want to sell this house for X, and this is the things I want included in it, then I have to listen to you. I have to obey you. And technically, if I'm not a member of the National Association of Realtors, nothing is telling me I have to do that.
Yeah, no, who's there to hold you accountable?
That's right.
There's nobody. And the seller has no recourse. The buyer has no recourse because we can't oversee a real estate agent because they're not part of our association. So so it is critical for the members of the public, buyer side, seller side, ask that question. And I know that, the public, we understand it. They don't know to ask that question. And I'm hoping that this word gets out of ask that real estate agent, are you a realtor or just an agent?
Absolutely.
And if they're just an agent, if you still want to go down the road with them, that's fine. However, we can't help you at that point. And I've had people call us, at the association and saying, hey, I got this problem. And as I start to ask the questions, I find out it's not a realtor. Well, now I have no oversight with them. The state has no oversight with them. So now do you make it a legal matter of, going into the courts? We have arbitration hearings. We have mediation hearings. We have, you violate something in the MLS. We have our own MLS, hearings. So we have all that in place. The public doesn't have to go hire a lawyer usually, to get us to get this corrected. So that is where we can then be of help to you. But without that, we can't help you with that. So
absolutely,
it makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
It really does.
There's another important piece that is the public has generally no knowledge of, but it does impact their rights, their property owner rights. Talk a little bit about what RPAC is and how that benefits the public.
Yeah, and I'm a strong believer in RPAC. It's the Realtor Political Action Committee. So it's our lobbyists. And, some people don't like lobbyists, right? Because you hear the negative part of that. But with this, what we're doing is it's not about talking to the legislatures if they're on one side or the other. It doesn't matter which party they align with. It's about what is their position on housing issues. So it's strictly housing issues that we deal with. Just a few weeks ago, we had our Day on the Hill in Nashville. And all of our local associations within Tennessee were able to go to the Capitol and meet with our legislatures and have 10 to 15 minutes to talk with them about housing bills that are on the table right now. Right now, there's over 200 bills that are on the table. And the public and even a lot of realtors don't realize that because you can't keep track of every single bill that comes up. And these are bills that can inhibit you from selling a property in a smooth, easy process, or it can inhibit you from, doing other things. And there's a lot of bills that get shot down because we're there fighting for the homeowners' rights. And so that's what the local associations do. That's what the National Association of Realtors do and the state association, because you have legislation on all three levels that are happening. And if we don't have that, you're talking a lot of other problems would be happening, trying to sell a house, trying to list a house. I've seen some crazy things in the past, from where I came from in Illinois. We had it where there were signs that you couldn't put in a yard anymore because the local legislations of the town said you can't put up for sale signs. Well, now you can't market a property. So sometimes it's simple as that, as to other things of a property tax being increased, transfer taxes being put into a property. So we protect those rights as best we can for the consumer. The realtors belong to it. They can pay, donate money into it to help our lobbyists fight these bills. But there are a lot of bills that never see the light of day because of our efforts on the backside. And I think if the public was made aware of all the things that we did shoot down, it would help raise that awareness. And I've talked to the state about that is, let's not just talk about the wins we have, because even the ones that we shoot down, those are still wins. Just because they didn't see the light of day, it's still a win. Let's promote that to the public so they understand what is going on, because again, like I said, it's over 200 bills at a time. We just had an RPAC meeting yesterday, and we had Travis Close, who's an RPAC trustee for the state, he's a realtor in Chattanooga, come out and talk with our members about it. And like he said, he just got the update, and it's like 3 pages long of all the bills that they have knocked down. That's a lot to read, So we're working on just getting some little bullet points out so people can start being aware of this. And
absolutely.
It's important. It definitely
It is important.
Yeah.
And I had the pleasure of meeting our, state attorney that is the RPAC representative, and she's constantly lobbying on the state level for us to not have things that will negatively impact your right to home ownership and your right for the use of your property. Sometimes it may be something that, is legislated that you can't, zone a property a certain way or use a property a certain way. And they are there to make sure that your rights for what you own and worked hard to purchase are protected. And so we are out here, we donate to that as realtors, as part of the association, because we want to see those rights protected because it's such an important thing. We know that we all have money invested in what we own and we want that to be protected.
Well, and the legislatures, if you think about it, they're bombarded on a daily basis from all the different groups out there, right?
Sure.
So I don't expect them to understand our business inside and out, because God love them all, because it's a very difficult job at times, because you have to understand what's happening in the medical field and what's happening in, our field and the insurance field and the builders associations. You got so many things coming at you. So when we have our day on the Hill, like we just had, having that 10 or 15 minutes to shed some light on this bill for the legislatures, I've changed their minds just by talking to them, because they're like, you know what? I didn't realize that. I didn't understand it this way. This is what I was told. And you say, no, that's not accurate. Here's what it is. And when you show it to them, not just tell them, you show it to them, now they can go and vote with their good conscience, knowing that they've been educated on it. And if we didn't have that, you're relying on them to interpret what the bill is and say, okay, well, my friend's bringing that bill in, I just vote for it,
Right. And a bill could be hundreds of pages long. And they would probably never have any sleep if they read every bill front to cover.
So they skim the top, and they just see the headline and say, well, yeah, that sounds great, but you don't see all the details in it,
The fine print.
And you're right. I mean, home ownership is one of the most important things that we all have, because you build your equity and your wealth for the future.
That's right.
If we can't protect that, we're all going to be in trouble at some point.
That's right. That's right. So that's another piece of what your association locally is doing to help you.
Right.
And I think sometimes it's just perceived that real estate agents are just these overpaid people out here with easy jobs, when in fact we're looking at the whole picture. And when you hire a real estate agent that has been well educated in every facet, the Real Estate Association is also going to be offering, sometimes at no charge to real estate agents, the continuing education hours that are required. And we're required to have those hours, just like a doctor has to have them, just like your cosmetologist has to have them. All the different fields that hold licenses in the state of Tennessee are going to have some form of continuing education. And that is so that we stay current on what is the latest and greatest, that we are constantly being trained on best practices. And again, that protects the public.
Right. Yeah, and without that, it's just the Wild West,
Yes.
In the National Association of Realtors, we have 1 million members that are in there.
And the last I heard, we are the largest trade organization in the world.
Yes. Yeah, we are. And, you had 1.5 million as of last year. Now that you just got adjusted, I think it's 1.4 million, So that's huge. And if you had 1.4 million individual realtors running around out there doing business the way they want, this would not be a good marketplace, And other countries look at our system and they envy it, because we are structured. We've been structured for decades, and we have everything running very seamless. And having that partnership with the state and the local and the National Association of Realtors is huge, because we can communicate with our state very easily. We can communicate with National Association of Realtors very easily. And we all stay aligned with the mission of, okay, let's help the public. Let's protect the consumer. And that's what it's about. It's not about protecting our best friend realtor on the other side doing a bad deal.
That's right.
If you and I did a deal together and you violated the code of ethics, I would report you, because I hold my self-esteem to I know you do. You never do it wrong.
No, but that's true. Yeah. I mean, you have to, we want to honor that agent and do good business, but we also, our job is to protect our client and who we represent, not the other agent, and not step on their toes or hurt their feelings. We've got to make sure that our client is our sole responsibility, and that's part of what we are taught and what we're held accountable for, is that we have that that commitment there and those associations. So we have the multiple levels that start with you have to hang your license underneath a licensed broker, and a broker has to have additional training.
Correct.
I just did all of my CEs for my continuing education for that, and it's no joke. I mean, you have to take training.
Yeah.
And so I broker our office of 20 agents. And so the buck stops with me when it comes to decisions.
Right.
And so sometimes if you're working with a real estate agent and they say, I have to talk to my broker, it's like, you got to go to the principal and ask permission. Can I do it this way? And so you have your agents, then you have someone with a higher level of training that oversees those agents.
Right.
And then beyond them, you have your local association, your state association, and your national association. So you have layers that are built in there so that there's oversight.
Right.
So that it's not just the wild, wild west, because, it would be a free for all.
Oh yeah. It would not be good.
Yes.
And like in this business, as a realtor, and if we dress nice and drive a nice car, people think we make a lot of money. And if we don't dress nice and don't drive a nice car, people think we're not successful. So you kind of get stuck in that. But it's deeper than that, and as you said, there's so much more that we have to do. It's not just throwing a house on the MLS and we sit back and we make tons of money.
Yes.
Because we do have to do the education. And not every house sells right away. Sometimes you have a listing for 6 months, or you don't get paid until that house sells, right? So we want to make sure that the realtors, though, have enough tools to keep their business moving forward as well. So we do offer all the different classes. So not even just the classes about code of ethics and training. We offer them classes on marketing and classes on the different products that we have to help them do better business for the public. So,
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of different things that we can help with. And then, as you mentioned, your own broker that you work for is going to have some training classes to help you with, again, the code of ethics, but also your business, how to, get better leads, how to work with the buyers, how to work with the sellers, keep you trained on all of that stuff so you can do better business and more business. But it's also designed to help make sure that we are doing it all right. And that's as simple as it comes down to for everything that we do.
And every year, the state that you're licensed in decides that they have a committee that is made up of fellow real estate agents that are the forms committee, and those great real estate forms that are gone over with a fine tooth comb by attorneys before they ever hit our hands. They get changed twice a year. At the beginning of the year and midway through the year, they do some updates and they make changes and they give us new forms. And so we have to stay educated on that and on what the changes have been. With a contract, adding a and instead of, a comma or a period is going to make a difference in the way it's interpreted. And so those are things that, we get that from our state association. They provide us with those state forms and it's gone through a rigorous process of checks and balances to be sure that the way that it's written is going to protect the public. And that they actually have their state attorney send out a video that we can all watch and get well informed on what those changes were and a little bit about why they came to be. Because, every year there may have been some big blowout on something that, someone didn't think would be interpreted a certain way, and then it was.
And became a big lawsuit.
Somebody got away with some, professionally designed curtains that they shouldn't have. And somebody had a lawsuit and they're like, oh, let's change the way that's worded. Let's make sure there's no room for it to be misconstrued or misunderstood. And that comes from our state level. And then our state level and our local level have another piece that I think is pretty awesome is they have a leadership training. And I was lucky enough to be chosen to go through that in 2024 at the state level. I did the local level, then I advanced to the state level. And basically, we spent about 8 weeks of, coming to Nashville to the state office and listening to different trainings on sharpening our skills and taking our skills further. And in hopes that we would serve in a state capacity or local capacity and represent other agents.
And to guide everybody.
That's right. That's right. And through that process, learning more about what happens at our state legislative level, with all the things that come through that can affect real estate and property rights, like we talked about. And so there's also that step that they provide to advance you in your knowledge base and in your skill level at a higher level if you're willing to do that, and you get chosen to do that. And that's something that I'm proud of, because I walked away with so much more insight into some things that I said, wow, I'm really impressed that I know how this functions now, so I can better educate my clients. I can represent them better. They even gave us training on how we as individuals can be better stewards of our money and our financial soundness, because we are all 1099 employees and not employees. We're 1099, providers and of a service. And we have to be diligent about what we do to prepare for retirement.
Yeah.
Because there's not going to be a, pension or a 401k that's handed to us at retirement. Yep. It's going to be that you had to have started early investing and making sure that you were making a way for retirement. Yep. And that's probably one of the things real estate agents struggle with the most is how do I step into retirement? Do I have a sellable business? What can I do to, go ahead and work towards retirement and things like that? And so there's always going to be resources if you're an agent from your local and your state levels and your national levels to help you with all of those things. And we don't get the benefit of having an employer that is providing us with health insurance.
Right. Yeah.
So there are
Which is a tough one. Yeah.
It is a tough one.
Yeah.
And the national level has done their best to try to give us some opportunities for that we can access, which is nice. Yeah. As well as giving us some opportunities to be able to access some special services that we get at a reduced rate. Yeah. And so it's kind of like you don't have an employer, but you do have access to some items that are specific just for real estate agents.
Well, and having 1,000,004, members, you would think we could get a group national health policy.
You would think.
And we've lobbied for it. Our own state has lobbied for it here within the state. I'm hoping one day it'll come. It's been talked about for decades, though, which is sad because you do have 1,000,004. And that is a struggle, because like you said, there's no employer providing that to you. So now if you leave your 9-to-5 job and you say, I want to become a realtor, and it's great. And it is a great career. I've done it for years and so have you. And you can make it, but it's not as simple as everybody thinks it might be because as you just said, you're planning your own retirement pension, you're planning your own insurance. Well, those are costs. And when you're not selling a house for 2 months, because you got to wait for closing, where's the money coming from? So you do have to keep preparing for down the road.
And you're paying your taxes.
And
Don't
you're paying
forget
your taxes.
that.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
And Social Security.
Yeah. And then you pay for your own marketing, to do your own marketing and everything else. So you really are running your own full business, which is great. And we're afforded that opportunity in this country, which is also terrific. But it is a struggle at times, because when the markets start to slow down, well, now less houses are selling. So then you have no income with that. So I would like to see a national health care plan that the members can participate in.
Sure.
Because again, for having the world's largest, or the largest trade association, how do we not have that? So it is a struggle.
Yeah.
But.
So to recap and kind of wrap this up, you have a local association here over on Candies Lane.
Yeah.
And it is there for the public to understand more about what we do as real estate agents and to provide you with the best data for when you are searching for a home, and also to get your home out there when you hire a realtor that is a member of the association, can put it in the MLS and it can shoot out to thousands, millions of people. Yeah. And so we're providing that as a service to the public.
Yep.
And you guys are accessible.
Oh,
people can always ask questions. They can stop by. They can be curious. And I'm proud to be a member of RCAR and the state and national associations. And again, I'm Lisa Calfee with the Source Real Estate Group. And Michael Parent, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for educating us more.
Rivercounties.com, and you can see all the information there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Do you imagine a career with flexibility and limitless income potential? It's possible by becoming a realtor. The River Counties Association of Realtors, located right here in Cleveland, Tennessee, is ready to help you unlock your potential. We're your go-to resource for guiding you to obtain your Tennessee real estate license. We're more than just realtors. We're a vital part of our community. Partnering with local charities, we work tirelessly to make a difference. Join the River Counties Association of Realtors today, where your career can thrive and community can too. Visit rivercounties.com or call 423-476-5912. Your new path awaits.